Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to your weekly general tarot scope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these are for everybody. These are the general energies, trends, and themes. We're going to look at the microcosm, the macrocosm. We're going to look at world events and the energies, trends, and themes for the week ahead. So stay tuned. With that said, you know this is your favorite weekly general. With that, before we get into it, I just want to say, if you're not on my mailing list, you are not getting my weekly emails Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You're going to get a little bit of Rafi in your inbox. I talk about astrology, numerology. I also drop tarot cards. There's a whole bunch of things in those emails that you will not get, including discounts for my services and my products, services, and courses that you will not get anywhere else. So if you want to sign up for that, then hit the link in the description box below and you will get a weekly dose of Rafi in your inbox 3 times a week. You'll also get a cheeky little gift for signing up as well. Now, with that said, before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with the forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good, or should I say our path to our highest vibrational good. So let's get straight into it and see what the week ahead has in store for us. So for the general energies, trends, and themes for the week ahead, the week commencing the 22nd, how about that new moon eclipse for you? Huh? Have you guys had enough of the crazy dreams just yet? Alright, so for the general energies, trends, and themes, we have the Daughter of Wands. So in this deck, the daughters are the pages. So we've got the Page of Wands. We have the Father, so the Fathers are the Kings. We've got the Father of Swords and the King of Swords, and we have the Ten of Wands. So the general energies, trends, and themes, this is a lot of air and fire, right? Or it's basically all air and fire. So over the course of this week, there is a sense of action, there's a sense of movement, there is a sense of finding or gaining traction. Now with the Page of with the Page of Wands, there is some kind of herald or message that comes in. Now usually I'd say this is about your creativity and all the rest of it, and you know that would definitely still be right to say. But the Page of Wands coupled with the King of Swords means that a very big or very powerful message or a download of some sort comes in this week. And it's very likely to center on the working world or the professional world in some way, shape, or form. A world or an area of expertise is likely to be highlighted, some specific field this week. I would not be surprised if a politician or a leader of some sort, somebody that's considered to be at the height of their game, walks away from a position that they've held in some way. I also would say this would be a very big surprise, right? This is kind of like we probably would not see this one coming. All right, like, so whoever it is that walks away, I know this isn't the world stage stuff, but it's obviously a message that's coming through for a reason. I would also say that the energies, trends, and themes this week are really about the release of burdens, but also I wouldn't be surprised if we see or get the energy of a whistleblower in some way, shape, or form. At any rate, there's something that's coming up in the topic of conversation this week that's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable, and I think it's something that has needed to be talked about for a while. What seems to be stirring this week is, it's like, I don't know whether this is going to be a song, maybe it is an article, maybe it is a piece of art or a piece of music, or something that comes out this week is very provocative. And it really raises a lot of questions. And I think while those questions are being asked, or maybe because those questions are being asked, somebody steps down or relinquishes their hold or their power in some way. The energies of this week, as I say, this is a very active week. Make no mistake about that. So the week commencing the 22nd, the sun will be just dipping into the sign of Libra. Libra is a cardinal sign, right? So things are likely to speed up this week. It would not be a surprise, right? Especially as here in the northern lands, we come into the autumn equinox. There in the southern lands, you guys are reaching springtime. So power is heightened at these moments of time. Those cross-quarter days of the year tend to carry a bit more of a power pack punch anyway. Finally, the last thing that I will say in terms of the energy of this week, it really is about very specific considerations and also very specific harmonizations as well. So I'm going to pop these here. Now, in terms of the, let's pop those there. In terms of the wider world stage, well, let's see what is happening on the world stage that we need to be aware of or prepared for in some regard or some way, shape or form. And this week we have the Ace of Swords, so some kind of contract is being signed, the Queen of Wands, and the Page of Swords, right? So we've got two pages. Two pages represents the energy of disquiet. I think we're going to see a back and forth, certainly on the wider world stage. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a whistleblower energy that comes forward. I would also see somebody deny, and they won't be able to deny this, whatever it is that comes forward at this time. I think this is going to be a career ender. So it will be interesting to see how that shapes up. I would also say that the creative world or the artistic world, movies, TV, film, drama, etc., all of that kind of arena, I think is going to be speaking very loudly this week. Again, I wouldn't put it past this week to really see someone coming forward with what potentially is some quite shocking information, or at least it highlights, like one of the things that I really loved, the people who stood up in the Actors Guild and the Writers Guild and all the rest of it, what I really loved about them standing up to talk about it was to show how much time, effort, energy, and blood, sweat and tears they put into the industry, only for a very few people to really capitalize on it, when in fact, without the grips and the side actors and the writers and the showrunners and the producers and all the rest of it, none of what we see come to life on the screen would get made. Quite frankly, yes, we have the star, they're the face and all the rest of it, I get that. But really those smaller roles that really make up the production team around creating something large like that really deserves to be honoured. And I really respected them for really speaking their truth and highlighting to us the way that things actually are versus how they're sold to us. And I'm going to give a little shout out here. Here in the UK, we have a woman called Clementine Douglas. She's just had a massive song over the summer with a guy called Calvin Harris. I'm sure you know him. And she went on the radio and she was talking about how when one of her biggest songs was out and absolutely killing it on the radio, it's been played everywhere, she was still working her normie job as a dinner lady. And I really respect, I fell in love with Clementine Douglas about 2.5 years ago. I discovered her on Instagram and have just been hooked ever since. I love her. I love her vibe. I love her music. I dragged my friend along. I was like, we're going to see Clementine Douglas. And he was like, who is she? And I was like, I don't care. We went to Birmingham and I absolutely let rip. It was incredible. I danced my socks off. Love her. Clem, if you ever get to see this, just know that Rafi loves you big time, right? I really, really love her. And I only loved her more when she was really transparent about the fact that, you know, it looks like you've made it, but actually, you know, the reality of it behind the scene. And I think this is the same for a lot of creators as well, like YouTubers and stuff, influencers. Like, it looks one way, like, because you see the shiny finished product, but actually they have a whole life and a whole world and bills to pay and all the rest of it that they have to do behind the camera, right? So there's a lot more to it than that. I talk about this and I get into this because I wouldn't like it won't be outside of the realm for stuff like that to be really highlighted this week, and it will be interesting to see, you know, sort of how it shapes up on the wider world stage. There will be a contract forged this week that will represent what I would consider a tenuous piece or a tenuous tie, where people, things or situations that might not necessarily fully mesh are coming into contact with each other. Finally, this week I would also say that some kind of sanction and or boundary is going to be set that I think a lot of people are going to kick back on. So again, we'll see how that plays out. So I'll pop those. No, we need those. I'm going to pop those there, and let's have a look at the. If he doesn't chuck them all over the place, let's have a look. Ooh. So let's have a look, see what is going on for the days of the week. So on Monday, we have the Emperor and the Tower. Wow. Okay, so this kind of feels like, if you know Adele, she's got a song called Hometown Glory. It's a song that I absolutely love. It's one of my favourites, and the drum and bass version is booker. Listen, if you ever get a chance to listen to the drum and bass remix of Hometown Glory by Adele, trust me, you're going to love it. If you like a banger and you like to stomp your feet a little and shake your money maker, then go and check it out. It's a good one. Anywho, there's a line in that song where she says you get the people and the government, everybody taking different sides. This feels very much like that. We're just off the back of an eclipse. It was a new moon solar eclipse. It was a new moon solar eclipse on the South Node. This is something is clashing here. There's something that a lot of people are very vocal about. The Emperor card can represent the police or the authorities in some way, coupled with the Tower card and with what's going on with the cards that came up here. One way that we could see this play out is somebody who works in law enforcement or somebody who works in the military, etc., comes forward to say, I think the people need to know this. It could also be that something about the it could be that somebody comes forward to whistleblow something that happens within the corridors of power like this as well. Another thing that this could also shape up as well, because you remember I talked about there potentially being some kind of disruption, or it's like somebody comes forward and says something that has a lot of people in uproar. I do wonder if it's the education sector. And I could very well see some kind of a protest here taking place on Monday. So watch out for that. On a more personal level, your sense of authority in your own life feels like it may be, or maybe you feel like it's being eroded in some way. Watch out for clashes with people in authority. So your boss, the leader of the group, all of those, anyone that you see as an authority figure, watch out for clashes with them on Monday. On Tuesday, we've got the Chariot coupled with the Ace of Wands. This is the creative sphere being talked about really, really loudly. What I think is important to note here is that this is, when times are hard, Creativity tends to really reign supreme for human beings because we have a knack for turning adversity into beauty in a lot of ways. This, coupled with the Ace of Wands, though, on a personal level, this will be a victory or a test that is overcome, something that has been a challenge for you. It's like you find the grit or the power to really just sort of ram it home and see it through to completion in some way. It could also be that there are new supportive regulations that unfold here in some way for oh gosh, what are they called? For creative outlets or endeavors. Ooh, excuse me. On Wednesday, we have the Justice card, okay, with the Ten of Swords. This is a long-standing legal case of some sort that's been very public or publicized, finally comes to an end or a close. This could also be, do you remember I talked earlier about that potential uneasy peace of some sort that could unfold? Yeah, this could be that as well. This could be some kind of tenuous piece that is sort of presented. It will also represent a contract or a commitment that is forged off the back of some kind of challenge and or hardship. There's a feeling with this though, underlying all of this, like I'm hearing specific words and I've got this feeling, and it's like whatever this is that comes forward on Wednesday, it's like it's too little too late. It's not enough, right? If this had been maybe, I don't know, the time period that's coming to me is like 3, maybe 6 months ago, right up to and including 6 years ago. So whatever this is, it's been a very lengthy process. I think if whatever it is that comes forward or is suggested at this time had come forward much earlier, it probably would have been enough to placate people, but I don't feel like it will be this time. On Thursday, we have the Wheel of Fortune and we have the Nine of Pentacles. I think by the time we reach Thursday, everybody's just going to really want or need to kind of, kick back and relax. I would also say this is where something about commerce, trade deals that are struck, etc., things will move a lot smoother by the time we come to Thursday. I think whatever it is creates a bit of a temporary boom of some sort, and it does look to be very fruitful for everybody. So I'm kind of here for that, right? It could be, I feel like it could be really great for everyone. So while it's there, use it and milk it. On Friday, we have the Moon card and the Two of Swords. Friday, there's going to be a lot of psychic energy in the ether. If you are an empath, if you are a psychic, if you're a mystic, if you're a seer, if you're just somebody that happens to be a HSP, hypersensitive person, if your psychic antenna and your auric field are naturally very porous, Friday will be a day where you want to make sure that you are doing your 101s, right? So in the psychic or the spiritual world, building a bubble of light, strengthening your aura, making sure that you clean and cleanse and clear your aura when you go out or when you go to certain places is an absolute, like it's 101, right? This is, you start here. Whatever your magical or psychic training is, one of the first things that they teach you is to protect your energy, right? If you don't know that kind of stuff, you ain't got no business. Soapbox moment, I'm sorry, here it goes, right? I know you love tarot. I know, we all love tarot. We all love astrology. You wouldn't be here watching this if you didn't love tarot. And I thank you humbly for joining me here on my channel. But if you aren't doing your 101 at least, you got no business dropping cards for yourself or anybody else. If you are delving into the ether, if you're using any form of energy work, spell work, magic, etc., and you ain't doing your 101, you ain't got no business doing that, right? If you don't know your very clear basics, leave things alone until you do, right? Friday is a day to protect your energy. The psychic antenna are going to be, you know, the spidey senses. I've been saying that since I was like a teenager, right? Your spidey senses are going to be on high alert. So my empaths, my sensitives, my mystics, my seers, the dreamers, even, you know, those of us that are prophetic dreamers, etc., the energy is going to be very, very high on Friday. So you're going to need to control your own dial. And I say your own dial because you can't control anything outside of yourself. That being said, watch out for mixed messages on Friday as well. Finally, for the weekend, we have the Strength card and we have the Three of Wands. I like that. I like that a lot. What I will say, though, is as it relates to the weekend, the message here is be really clear about where you are investing your time, effort, and energy, especially as far as it goes to your material presence, right? The reason I say this is because whatever you're tied to or have promised to do over the weekend, you will probably be held to it. So this whole week, if you get invites and invitations, especially on Friday, that happen to pertain to the weekend, I want you to be really selective about what you say yes to because you'll be held to it, and that could be a problem. All right, finally, for the Human Design Oracle deck message, card message for all of us, we have the Gate 47 and Mindset. I do want to say before we get into this, if you would like to book your personal tarot reading with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. There are other services as well, astrology, numerology, all of that good stuff. Check it out. Now, we've got the Gate 47 and Mindset. This card is quite literally the message that where and how your mindset is exactly what you're going to see. And it's kind of like, you know, the meme of the guy that's on the bus. On one side, you've got like one guy who's just looking at the rocks and is all gloomy and like whatever. And then you've got the other guy that's looking out the window and it's all sunny and bright. And it is to say, like, where you put your focus is exactly what you're going to get more of. So this whole week, right, you're not just doing your 101 on Friday. This whole week, you're going to be doing your one-on-one, right? Your 101, should I say. Strengthening your aura, right? Cleansing your aura, making sure that your energy is high, making sure that your energy is clean, that you're cleansing and clearing your aura, that you're cleansing and clearing your space. This seems to be really, really important, especially because of the stuff that's going to be flying around in the ether. How you look at things is really what determines whether they are good or bad. And that's not to say that there are some things that are not objectively horrific, right? We're not, right? Let's be self-aware. Right? Like, come on. But how we view things, the lens through which we view things, has a lot to say about the experience that we're going to have, and more importantly, the experience that we're going to draw into us. All right. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how this shapes up for you. All right. With that said, take care, and I'll see you soon.